Welcome back to another episode. This time I'm talking with Paul Rushton. Paul has a degree in applied chemistry and has worked as a director in many plastics companies. We talk about his experiences in work and also life more generally. That's the kind of conversation I really enjoy. So if you're ready, let's go. They're like a German mic company.
Oh right.
But I've got like a decent recorder, a much bigger one than that.
Yeah.
And then you can also you can just record like this, but you can also plug like mics into it as well, so you can kind of like.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah. So I've got loads of notes here.
Okay.
But we don't have to go through all of them. We can just.
No, you.
We can just go through it.
We will probably end up going off a tangent, and if I do that, you just bring me back on.
Yeah, I'll bring you back in with another question at some point.
Yeah. Sure.
So, where were you born, Paul?
I was born in Hull.
You were born in Hull.
Yeah. I was born in Hull, on the council estate where Wyke School and Kelvin Hall used to be.
Right.
So a very. I was actually born in a flat. It was planned.
Yeah.
It wasn't. My mother didn't say, "Oh goodness me, I need to go to the maternity hospital," and she didn't make it. It didn't happen like that. It was planned.
Yeah.
So I'm Hull born and bred, and
what's it like, Hull? Do you like it?
I used to like it.
Yeah.
I don't now.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. It's changed dramatically, and
really?
It's sad to see, particularly when the Hull local press, the Hull Daily Mail, run features on what Hull looked like in the 80s, which was my heyday. I was born in '66, and it was absolutely buzzing.
Yeah.
But over the years, the industry that was in the city for numerous reasons has moved out, and there's been no replacement in investment. And as you probably know, Hull was the city of culture.
Yeah.
Can't remember which year it was, but usually that's an attempt to inject life into a city that's dying. We didn't need fireworks and events. We need hard investment, and we need I'm using that word we, so I still feel very part of it.
Yeah.
But it needs breaks for businesses to come into the area. But then and I find this in Grimsby as well, where I'm presently working. It's difficult to get the skills into the area.
Yeah.
Because with the businesses moving out, eventually the skills go too.
Yeah.
So
no one about to do the high skilled jobs like.
Yeah. So it's incredibly difficult to attract quality. That's probably the people with the right skill set.
Yeah. Well, they're all somewhere else, aren't they?
Yeah. Do you want to come and
live in Hull when you're in bloody somewhere in America or somewhere in London?
No.
Not interested.
There's even the problem with the football club. The football club can't attract decent players, because why would a footballer who's affluent want to come around here? But it's the football that actually has resulted in me sitting here, because in 1904, when the club was formed, when Hull City was formed, my great grandfather was playing for Stoke.
Yeah.
And he got a transfer to Hull.
Yeah.
And he only played for a year, but he scored the first 2 goals.
Nice.
So that's my one and only claim to fame. So we're done.
No, that's why you're in Hull.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So the family so the family settled here. I've never managed to escape, but yeah, it's indicative of the state of play when there's all the big department stores have gone.
Yeah,
So,
that's the country in a nutshell, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
in a lot of ways, it's like things have changed so much, and it's there's an Arctic Monkeys lyric from the last couple of albums where he says, no one's on the streets, we've moved it all online, and it's very true, isn't it?
Yes,
it's just the way it is now. Everyone's sort of hiding in their homes and stuff, aren't they?
Yes,
it's weird. That's what's the thing that's changed, isn't it? It's the same. I imagine many people I could speak to in Lincoln, where I'm from, like, would say the same thing about Lincoln.
Yeah,
a lot of students about.
Yeah, we have in Hull we have a very high proportion of foreign students. We've got a lot of students from Asia, and those folks are paying top dollar.
Yeah.
For their education, and it's great because it keeps the university going. But
that's they take it all away with them, though, don't they? And
to take the knowledge with them back to China, but which is where the majority of students come from. But yeah, China's another story. That's an interesting place that I've visited. Many times. I'm sure.
Really.
We'll surely come. We'll certainly come on to that. Yeah, I think I've been in my first tour, if you like, with Technical Absorbents. I was there 3 years.
Yeah.
Completed something like 183. Yeah, it was 183 flights.
Wow.
It was one of the reasons I left, because I just thought I can't continue to do this. I was coming back from India one Saturday evening, and I was screaming inside. I just wanted to get off the plane. I just thought, can't do this.
What about it? Just the travel itself, or?
It was jet lag. Jet lag was a problem. We
like
had
a zombie.
Louise and I we'd been on holiday, had a fantastic holiday, came back home. I went to the States for a week, came back home for the weekend, and went to China. So you can imagine.
Where you are.
I was shocked. And then I think it was partly the boredom, just sitting there
waiting to get somewhere.
Yeah. I got to I got to the point where the in-flight entertainment. Yeah, fair enough. All well and good. And trying to read, but couldn't concentrate because I was so tired, and I just thought, this isn't for me. But then COVID came, and because I left to run another business. A local business. I got a call.
So in 2019, around that time.
Yeah. So I went to run Tripack Packaging Systems, as it's now known, because it was called Tripack Plastics. I said, you can't call yourself a plastic company.
Yeah.
We've
got that problem. We're trying to change it now at the moment, actually.
Yeah. So I changed it to Tripack Packaging Systems, and so I spent 2.25 years getting that business through COVID, and it's its 50th year actually this year.
Yeah,
it's a very very long-standing business. 50% owned by an Icelandic company and 50% owned by a local company in Grimsby.
Yeah.
And I had taken it to, I think what it was, after the intensity of COVID and the stimulation that provided, and the stress, in terms of running a business and restructuring a business and implementing new systems and procedures and making it lean.
Yeah.
To come out of COVID and go back to business as usual.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not enjoying this. It's not stimulating me.
Yeah.
And back at Technical Absorbents, the GM had been trying to get me to go back for some time.
Yeah.
And he'd sort of given up. And I noticed I was thinking at that point in time that I need to move on. I just had a look around and I thought, Technical Absorbents are advertising for a product development director. And I was previously the commercial director, but I've got a technical background because I studied chemistry.
Yeah.
So it fits well with the business. And I called Mike and I said, it was the GM, I said, Mike, what do you think to combining the roles? Because we did talk about this some time ago. And he said, actually, we found a really good guy, but he said, your job is obviously still vacant. He said, I've been sort of trying to do it.
Yeah.
And he said, would you like to, would you like to have a chat? And I said, yeah, I really would.
Yeah.
And he said, look, we're looking at making an acquisition, and he said, we'd like you to run the process.
Yeah.
So it turned out it didn't happen.
No. Because
it was due to the movement of funds, so we couldn't facilitate it. So it never happened.
Never came to fruition.
Yeah, but post COVID, that business now is run in a completely different fashion, because it was very much an operationally focused business where people had to turn up and be seen, and now people just come and go as they want, and guess what? It's still as productive, if probably a bit more productive than...
That's really interesting. I've noticed that from reading your CV. Thank you for sending me that, because that was really helpful. And you obviously, you like a challenge, don't you?
Yeah.
By the looks of it.
Yeah.
And I suppose a lot of what you've said on your CV is like businesses you've gone into, like diversification is such a big part of what you've done in a lot of ways, isn't it? Changing what the business does to make it work,
Yeah.
And I suppose you look to any area, you'll look to any area to sort of as a way to improve it.
Yeah, and I think it's not, it wasn't by design that happened. It was the moves from business to business were a consequence of, I think, a needed and necessary career change for whatever reason at the time, and it just so seemed that, as you've rightly pointed out in the CVs, that in my CV, that the businesses that I've joined have usually got some sort of issue.
Yeah.
So Alcontrol Laboratories, the sales were absolutely dire.
Yeah.
They got some service delivery issues.
Every business has got massive blind spots, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And we had that where we were for a long time. So we were a family business, still a family business, but like we've never injected like an outside influence on it. And we had this fellow who my brother spoke to. He ran a company called Roller Snakes, which did skateboard stuff.
Oh, okay.
And he was with that company from sort of 2 million to sort of 10, 12 million. And he basically was a big part of it with the website, making the website good, making it perform on the internet properly. And he's just come to us, eventually ended up coming with us and doing the same thing, really. So it's all just ticking boxes for him, but he likes the challenge of like the different marketplace,
Yes.
And it's great to have people like that, because they're like gold dust, aren't they, really? It's like people who can do that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I must say though, if someone asked me today to go into another family business, I would say absolutely no.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah, I've done it 3 times, and it's always started off well.
Yeah.
But then, particularly if there are siblings working in the business, it's not long before the wheels come off.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly what me and my brother are. So hopefully that doesn't happen. It might do though. I don't know. You never know, do you?
Yeah. And
you experienced that multiple times though.
Yeah, I have, and it's all well and good if the siblings are really decent people, really bought in, and are reasonable. But if there are, if there's a silver spoon element to it, then it can quickly.
This is the issue that James had. This is why James, the guy I'm talking about, was left his job, is because that was what was happening basically.
Right.
At that place, it was just they put these kids in charge, but with no direction really, and they didn't really care if they were doing a good job or not.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the difference for us is that my dad has kind of showed us the way and then gone, right, yeah, sort it out yourself. And that's kind of been quite positive for us, I think.
Yeah.
We've had to sort of make our own way,
Yeah.
And the business wasn't profitable.
Oh, okay.
So now it is, but it wasn't for a long time, for most of its lifetime. So
so how did it keep going then if it wasn't profitable?
It would just be on an even keel all the time.
Right.
And I don't really know if my dad put money into it. I don't think he put a lot of money into it really, but he might have put some money into it here and there.
Right.
But yeah, sort of labour of love, I suppose. I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of just, like I say, it's just been on an even keel, not really giving them much more than a normal wage for most of their lives. And now it's kind of paying us dividends, literally, in a proper way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Everyone's different, aren't they? I suppose.
Yeah. So I've had one scenario was where the owner's son managed to lose a significant account.
Right.
And he resigned.
Pissing them off.
he resigned by text.
Oh, right.
I accepted it. I was the MD. His father, who I took over from, called me and said, "You'll take him back on." I said, "I won't." I said, I can't take him back on because he's a liability.
Yeah.
And he said, "Right, got to call a shareholders meeting." I knew which way that was going, but you know what? I thought I'm not really in control, and he should have supported me in that, but he didn't.
It becomes a personal thing, doesn't it? In that situation, and it's not what it's about. What the business is about, is it?
Yeah, I knew I was toast.
Yeah.
At that point, another business I was in, there were cash flow issues because the family were taking out too much money.
Yeah.
Overdraft run up to the hill. I was getting hassled because it was that tight that if our major customer didn't pay on time, we couldn't pay the wages. And I said, "Why don't you just not
take so much?
Don't take so much. What are you doing with all this money?"
But you can't really say that, can you? Because it's
no.
It's up to them ultimately, isn't it? So it's like, I can understand that. I imagine it happens. I imagine that happens quite a lot. So you've got was it a degree in chemistry, applied chemistry? You've got
applied chemistry. Yeah. So
what's the difference between when I read that? I thought, is there other versions of chemistry that you could?
Oh, there's all sorts. Well, the first thing to mention is that studying chemistry was the last thing I ever wanted to do.
Really?
Yeah. Because because I was hopeless at it, and what happened was I come from a very much a working class family, and no one had ever gone to university from the family, and my mother pushed me hard. When I took my O levels, if I wanted to go and see my mate, she'd come and find me and drag me back and make me study.
Right. Yeah.
She was
ruling with an iron fist, making sure you get on with it.
Basically. So so the expectation was that I went into that I'd get a job. So I was looking for a traineeship. So I got offered a job as a technician at British Aerospace.
Yeah.
And I got offered a job at J.H. Fenner, power transmission company. Now British Aerospace wanted 2 science O levels. And I knew that I thought I can scrape through physics, but chemistry, not hoping. I ain't got a clue.
Yeah.
And Fenner just said one O level, so I thought physics and maths and English that'll do the job. So got a U, chemistry, unclassified.
Yeah, I got a U in psychology when I did that. I don't know. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and marginally better in English lit. I got an E. I didn't read the books. I rented I rented the VHS videos and watched the film version because I thought.
I think I got an E or a D in English literature in sixth form. Yeah. Just like you say, didn't read the books. I read the synopsis about the day before the exam.
Yeah.
It's like, right, I'll do this.
Yeah. I unlike some of my very clever guys that I went to. My practical partner at Leeds was he got the highest marks out of everybody in the UK in that year. He is uber bright, and I just think I really had to put some work in to get that degree. Applied chemistry is the study of how you use it.
Yeah.
Not even though we did study things on a molecular level, like organic
use cases for the actual substances.
How does fair enough. This is how it all works at a quantum atomic molecular level, but how does it actually work in the real world? So I did.
Wow.
Yeah. So I did that, and I finished the degree when I was working at BP.
Yeah.
Which was great because they only take Russell Group graduates into the business. So when I was stuck, I had some really smart people to explain it to me. So
nice.
So it was great. But I got to the end of that. I finished the degree in '92, and I thought, this is going to bore me senseless, because I was originally. What I was doing, which excited me, was we were developing novel oil field chemistry in the lab, scaling it up and taking it offshore. So it was like getting a plane up from Hull to Aberdeen, getting on a chopper, going out to an oil rig, pumping the stuff into the into the system and seeing how it worked, and it was immense fun.
Yeah, I was going to add, one of my questions was what was the most fun job you had? Was that up there on that list?
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
that was fun. When I'm finding now that I sometimes look at things through rose tinted specs. I look at when I was the MD of the water treatment company. I was there for 13 years, and I said, halcyon years. That was brilliant. It wasn't really. It was bloody awful
at the time.
At times, and I was far too green. I was promoted too quickly.
Yeah.
If I'd have been in a larger business, there is no way I would have got to that level.
You've ended up directing people for a lot of your career, haven't you?
Yeah.
And one of the questions I had was like, did you realise, or did other people realise early on that was you were going to be good at that?
It was something I wanted to do from when I walked into the car park at J.H. Fenner on Marfleet Lane in Hull.
Really?
As a trainee.
Wow.
And I said, who do all these Jaguars belong to? Because Fenner was very traditional. They said, they belong to the directors.
Yeah.
And at that point...
you know what you're aiming for.
But I like Jaguars, so I need to become a director.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
So that's what drove me. Coming from quite humble beginnings, it was always. I just think in life, in this life, we could be quite philosophical about it and jump into that. But in this particular life, this is. I just feel as though you want us to go. You just have to give it the best shot you can, and but enjoy it and have fun with it, and and don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, definitely. It's important to do that.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just grind yourself down, don't you?
Yeah.
You've got to enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's, like, as I say, because you've had so many different jobs. That's probably part of that as well, isn't it? Need the next challenge. I want to see what I can do now.
And the drivers become different. As I've got older, and you become more financially, because as you get older, you start to need less money. Because you come to my children don't live with me anymore, and starting up as a young person is really hard and it's really expensive. But as you come to the end of that, you think, well, actually, I'm looking for different stimulus now.
Yeah.
And it's
real world things instead of sort of material things.
Yeah, and it's the technical challenges, and I think as well, the material stuff. I say to my kids, don't become obsessed with generating wealth and try not to be materialistic.
Try and let that be a byproduct.
Yeah, don't let it be your driver, because if that's your driver, you'll never be happy. I think it was Socrates who said, if you're not happy with what you got, with what you have, you're not going to be happy with what you're striving for.
Yeah.
So
any stuff that you want to get.
It's about being happy and enjoying what you do, because
it's like meaning, isn't it?
Yeah,
finding meaning, I think.
Yeah,
and I've been listening to some stuff recently, and people have been saying like meaning and happiness is kind of the same thing, isn't it? Like if you've got meaning in your life, everyday life, the things that you do, the people that you see, and you've got it really, haven't you?
Yeah,
and all the stuff around you is kind of superfluous.
Yeah,
I suppose. Yeah.
Which is great, technical absorbance, because I take all the weird and wonderful, wacky applications, because I found myself, if I completed a profile to find out what my optimum sort of job role was, and it turns out that I'm stimulated by technology and technical challenges, and because I find myself I'm the commercial director at Technical Absorbance, but it allows me to dabble technically, and because I've got the background to be able to do that, it just works out well. So I get the weird and wonderful inquiries from India, or I'm looking at something in Sri Lanka at the moment, or China, or
nice.
And it's just it's
exciting.
Yeah, it is. You just think, wow, what can I make out of this? Or not. What
was it that you took? Some kind of test, or that told you that that's what you should be doing?
Just it was profiling, like the insights profile. That's another one I did, just to usually my wife loves this sort of stuff. My wife works in the pharmaceutical industry.
Right.
And it's all very high end.
Yeah.
And where I, my domain is very bargain basement, and you want a coach. We don't have coaches. We don't coach anyone. And it's a
very different point of view on it.
Yeah.
different stance.
It is completely, and by the nature of what pharmaceutical companies do, that they have a lot more money to spend, and if I'd have been looking at, I need a coach, and it's going to cost $5,000. Just get laughed out. Cheryl to say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to improve myself so I can improve the dividends. So ultimately, so I'm sure there's value in that for you guys. But
yeah, cool.
Never happened.
What are organic polymers, Paul?
Organic polymers.
Yeah.
Organic polymers are polymers that are made out of organic molecules. So we're looking at carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen.
Yeah.
So that the mainly the mainly carbon molecules that are brought together by polymerization.
Right.
So if you consider technical absorbance, so what we do there is we take acrylic acid and we polymerize it. We just join lots of molecules in a long chain, big snake of the molecules together to create a polymer. Mm-hmm. So it's a multi-unit of that original monomer, if you like.
Yeah, constituent parts.
Yeah, and so that's it in a nutshell, and then the functional groups change.
Yeah.
Depending on what you want. What
to use it for.
What the polymer is designed.
I'm guessing it's used for endless stuff. Right. Or is it not at the moment?
Well, in terms of what we do at Technical Absorbance.
Well, yeah, I suppose, and generally,
polymers, organic polymers are all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a massive market, and obviously a lot of it comes from oil, and which is and then it's, the oil is cracked into various fractions, and then it goes off and it does, it becomes, it becomes whatever. So
different levels and things like that.
Yeah. So different molecular weights of polymer become of molecule become different polymers. But the one we make is super absorbent.
Right.
So
what's the use cases for that then? Is that kind of
so the biggest market is food pads. So because it's a fibre, so you know
what's below like a mincemeat, something like that.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's absolutely it. Yeah. So the business sells probably 60% of its output goes into that market, into Europe, into Germany specifically. The product we make is similar in terms of its chemistry to the superabsorbent powder that's in nappies, diapers, femme hygiene products. So it's that gritty stuff. You may have seen it on the TV where it's the stuff that turns into a gel when it gets wet.
Yeah.
We make a fibrous version of it. We're the only global company, only company globally that makes. We can spin it to make a staple fibre, so you make fabrics out of it.
Wow.
So
that's your USP with what you're doing then.
yeah. But it's expensive. It's expensive because of the nature of the production process. It's very energy intensive. And imagine, what we've been going through recently with the cost of energy going up. It's made the fibre even more expensive. So that's how I kill a lot of opportunities. Going back to what I was saying earlier, we've not. I am working with a large Indian company at the moment, and one of the things I do, just straight off the bat, tell them how much the fibre is.
Make sure then you know where you stand then.
Yeah. I don't want to go down a great long development conversation.
And I suppose to start with, you were doing that, and then you realise, wait a minute, I need to tell them straight away.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this is a waste of time.
So this is how much it costs. These are the drawbacks in the application in which you want to use it for.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think we'll ever plastic generally, like, we're ever going to get away from plastic?
It's
oil-based things.
It's very interesting because I did some when I was at Tripack. I didn't think it was a really great idea to use polypropylene to make tree shelters. The little tubes that they put around trees. I thought, this isn't great. We're actually purposefully littering the countryside with this. So I did look at alternative polymers. I spent some time with the head professor of polymer chemistry at Hull Uni, and they are actually doing some really interesting novel work, developing some really exciting polymers and that will degrade.
Biodegradable.
Biodegradable. But as you can imagine, like we're sitting here today, it's raining outside, it's reasonably warm. These tree shelters are meant to last anything from 3 to 5 years. So if you put a biodegradable polymer out there, you've got to get it spot on, because a lot it'll just degrade and it won't do its job. And there's been a massive failure of tree shelters on the A14, on the Cambridge bypass, and
it's a big challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
With all the different weather that it can encounter through its life.
It is. I think it's the cost, isn't it? It's that. Yeah, we can save the planet, and it's vitally important that we do that. But it comes at a cost.
You got to stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
And work on something else just because.
And
you need to make it biodegradable or recyclable in some way.
Yeah, and the thing is, one business will take a leap of faith and do it.
Yeah.
But then they don't become they lose their competitive edge because usually these technologies are more expensive.
Yeah.
So
costing them money. Yeah.
Unless everybody does it together.
Yeah.
But then I think the question is, do people really want to spend the money to do this?
I suppose the problem as well is like because every government's its own thing. Like if a country decides to do it, they're affecting the whole country, aren't they? Yeah, it's awkward, isn't it? It needs to be like a sort of world agreed thing, but it'd be very hard to get that, wouldn't it?
So I spent a lot of time working on alternative polymers I was trying to develop some novel chemistry, and that comes into play with Tripack as well. You know, with some of the things that we're looking to do.
Yeah.
You know, can it be recycled? No, not easily.
Yeah.
But some of the things we do with it goes into subsea cables. So people make yarns. You know, companies make yarns of it, wrap it around subsea cables. So if the sheath breaks, the superabsorbent expands and blocks the hole. So it's self-sealing.
Yeah. So it's clever design that can be that can do things after it's been made.
So is that really going to get dug up anytime soon?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
You know,
just stay there.
I'm looking at a structural waterproofing project at the moment where that's going to be under a building for 50 years.
Yeah.
You know, it could be, you know, anyone listening to this could say, you're just storing up problems for future generations, and say,
well, we all are, aren't we?
Yeah.
Everyone is to some extent.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but yeah.
You watched Guy Martin's recent thing about power?
No, I missed that.
Really good.
Really?
Amazing, yeah. Travels around the UK and just looks at all the versions of generating power that we've got, right from, you know, the traditional methods to fusion. Amazing, really good.
I'll have to catch up on that.
I reckon you'd enjoy that. Yeah, it's one of the interesting things I heard from that is that they've started doing the wind turbine blades for the farm off Hull.
Right.
We started developing them with this chemical structure in the blade, in the resin.
Right.
That now they can just chop it up, because traditionally fiberglass is just non-recyclable.
Can't do anything with it. Yeah.
But now they're going to be able to sort of chop it up and sort of, I guess, kind of turn it into a powder.
Right.
And then reuse it in the next blade or the next fiberglass item.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So, and they last about 25 years, I think, out in the ocean. But I thought that was great, because that's something me and my dad have always talked about. A lot of our products are fiberglass.
Yeah.
A lot of our older products are fiberglass. And there's just a big lump of stuff that you can't do anything with. And you know, it's a tiny industry that we're in, but even for my dad's very interested in environmental stuff.
Yeah.
And I think he feels bad about that side of it, but it's interesting that they're trying to do things about it.
Yeah, it is.
And,
it is. It's fascinating, and just on that theme, I've been asked, because I've got a broader skill set than just having a commercial skill set in the role that I've got. I've been asked to consider if I would take on other projects within the business, and waste is one that I really do, because I've had a lot of things to do at the moment, but I'm getting to the point where I've got a bit of headspace, so I'm looking at trying to tackle some of the waste.
It's a cool challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's the big challenge really at the moment for the world, I suppose. Yeah. Work-life balance, Paul. Like, how's that changed throughout your life, and what have you realised about it?
It's important, so get it right. Because when I think I was so driven as a consequence of my humble beginnings, and not wanting to, you know, with all due respect to them, end up in the same financial scenario as my parents. I saw them struggle, and I studied part-time, so I actually graduated when I was 26, and it was that I was driven by fear.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Didn't want to be like your parents in that way.
Yeah, and I thought that's absolutely what I don't want, and I was pretty sure about how I wanted my life to roll out. But the problem was that striving towards that comes at a cost.
Yeah.
And the cost was, I remember one of the most stressful times was when I ran the water treatment company, when I was the MD there.
Yeah.
Because I would work on proposals overnight with a young family.
Yeah.
You know, my kids were. We eventually got divorced. We split up, partly due to the job.
Yeah.
Couldn't switch off. Yeah. Working through the night. You know, the internet had just rocked up and I'd got I think I had an AOL email address, and I had that one of those modems squeaking away on the on the windowsill. But it meant I could listen to Australian radio when I was working through the night.
Wow.
And and it used to keep me entertained, but I was always tired, and just spending time with the kids whilst trying to grow that business was
a massive challenge.
It was a big struggle, but I think as I've got older and I've become more experienced, I've become more effective. So I can get straight to the root of whatever I'm looking at usually,
rather than kind of working
more quickly.
on the
Just looking
stuff.
at it and thinking, right, God, how do I narrow this down to find a solution? Or how do I sort this problem out? So it's better now, and I think as I've evolved throughout my career, I think I have a better understanding now of a business that I can work in, where I will fit, where I can be effective within the right number of hours, and recognise the culture before I go into a business. And I do have a great work-life balance at the moment, and I think that's achieved by flexibility, which actually has recently come to fruition as a consequence of COVID. Because I've always believed that people should be measured by output, not by the amount of time they put in. I had a CEO, and he said to me, if you can hit your sales target in one day and you spend the rest of the week playing golf, he said, I couldn't care less. I'm not bothered. And I did find myself in that situation. But as I said, I
literally playing golf.
but I ended up getting made redundant.
It
was out of control. And that the CEO there was a great guy.
Couldn't last forever though.
Things don't, generally speaking, scenario situations never last forever. We live in a dynamic world, and the only thing that's permanent is impermanence.
Transitionary periods.
But it brings. I love change. A lot of people don't like change.
I do as well. I like it.
It's good. It's healthy.
If you don't do it enough, you end up getting scared of it, I think.
Yeah.
So it's good to embrace it.
It is. Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah. You're involved in hiring a lot of people then?
Yeah.
How did you find that?
Painful. Yeah, it really is painful. Because it is so difficult to even. I mean, it could be argued that I'm not a good judge of people, which may be true, maybe not, but often it's like buying a used car. You don't know what you've got until you get it home and lift the bonnet, and it's like with people, you don't know what you've got until you've got them. They're in the workplace, and you think
that's when you find out.
You think, hang on, when you were interviewed, you said this, and you're not.
People say all sorts, don't they?
You're not that.
In the interview.
I've made some. I mean, I have in the past been involved in recruiting my successor. And I've said, and to be fair, the panel have said that that guy he's the chap we should bring on board. And it's been a car crash and he's gone in 3 months. So
what have you learned? What's been like? What do you look for then when you're hiring someone? Like what have you learned? Like the best thing that you find to look for when you're speaking to someone?
I think it's necessary to dig really deep, and anything that you may think is, I'm not quite sure of that. But generally speaking, the candidate's okay. You've got to go back and look at, what is that niggle, and really
dig deep on
it. Because when interviewing someone, they're not going. They're at their best, and the worst people are salespeople.
Yeah.
Because they're usually pretty good at selling themselves, you know.
And
if they're not good at selling themselves, you don't want them in the bloody business for a start, so.
That's the job, isn't it? So.
Salespeople are difficult to recruit. Motivated salespeople. It's hard.
I was listening to something recently. I can't remember her name, but she ran IBM in America for sort of 20 years, I think. And she was saying her biggest thing she looks for now is just the drive within someone to do stuff. It doesn't really even matter that what kind of qualification they've got. It's kind of I suppose it's talent versus work ethic, isn't it? Like, if someone appears to have a good work ethic,
will versus skill. My best recruit ever was in the water treatment company, and this lad rocked up. He rocked up as a bit of a car crash, if I'm totally honest. And there was just something about him. He had charisma, not in a flamboyant way, but he was a very likeable chap, but clearly very driven. He'd been working for the Environment Agency, didn't have a sales background, but I just thought there's just something in you. He ended up being my sales director.
Wow.
Guy.
Out of the blue sort of thing.
Really good. Really good guy. Yeah. But he realised he was incredibly materialistic. And I was.
At that age.
Yeah. And he had a really unfortunate situation. He was at his father's funeral. His mother was in hospital. She couldn't go. During the wake, he got a call. Your mother's died.
Wow.
So it just... I saw him a few years ago, and he said it just changed me. What good is all this material?
If that can just happen in that fashion.
Yeah. What's important? What is really important in life? It's nice. It's good to be comfortable, but how far do you take it? And it's interesting. I'm reading a book at the moment. It's called Die with Zero, and it talks about if you've got an amount of money left over when you die, you have to bear in mind that you've spent years continuing to work to amass that,
accumulating it,
amount of money. So it was a bit of a waste of time, really, wasn't it? Because you've left the money,
left most of it behind.
And that's what happens in
zero sum game
in the West. Yeah.
That's the world. That's what happens to everyone, isn't it? So it's quite hard to get your head around, I think, but. It's true. You will lose it all. And some of the biggest smiles I've ever seen on my travels with technical absorbents have been in the poorer countries. And it's quite focusing. I went to Africa with my dad when I was 10.
Wow.
And we drove to Gambia on the west coast in a van, and it was mental, but it was the most sort of natural, visceral experience ever, because the people are they're just driven by completely different stuff. Just family and sitting around a table with not even a table, on the floor with fish and rice on a big bowl, and you're all eating it together. And it's just that's and the amount of enjoyment you get from that is amazing. The amount of satisfaction that gives you.
So how come your dad ended up doing that, and what drove him to do it? Why did he want to do it? What was the reason behind it? Was it just to check the place out? And
I think he was probably in a similar situation to you, where he'd sort of burnt himself out with the business. He took a big break from the business for 7 or 8 years when I was around that age, 10, and he just wanted a big change, I think, and he'd been living a life that he wasn't enjoying, basically. So he just did something crazy, and he first did it at the proper Dakar with his friend. They went in an old BMW M3, 80s one, and just drove down with his friend Simon from school,
Fantastic.
And then he did it again with me in a van, and left the van there, and we flew back. And then he did it again after that as well with another van. So he's done it 3 times. But he's got a friend. He's made a friend for it, and the guy is called Keba, and you know, he's a fellow who's sort of grafting to meet as many people as he can and get money, but at the same time he's a lovely guy.
Yeah.
And he's great to spend time with. He's actually, this guy has been one of these immigrants who's come over on a boat, and he now lives in Italy.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, my dad's been to see him in Italy.
How wonderful.
And yeah, it's just an amazing look into the lives of some people in the world, you know.
Yeah, and that's it's been amazing for me, and still is, working for Technical Absorbents, because I've been all over the world.
Yeah.
Working with them.
Yeah.
And I've met some incredibly interesting people, and it's given me, you know, I think it's important, you know, that the real value of life in life is experience, quality of experience, and when, you know, when we get to that point where, you know, we're lying on our deathbed, or you know, reflecting on our lives in later years, it's those experiences, you know, it's about, you know, for me it's about, you know, with the Die with Zero concept, it's about converting the money into experiences, because that's, you know, when, you know, we all wind down as we you know, as we get to our latter years, and we can't spend the money then, you know, we need less money, but if we've got those experiences, you know, they have a compounding effect in terms of, you know, because we keep reliving them and talking about them and sharing them, and it inspires other people, doesn't it? Yeah, and there's much more value to those experiences than there is. You know, like what you've just told me, that stick with you forever.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
I forget it sometimes, and I think, wow, that was crazy.
That is cool.
And I did that. And I can't believe that I did that.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
it really is cool. Yeah, I think it's you know, I realise this more than ever now. Yeah. You know, you just got to go out there and just do the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And just, you know,
you'll be alright, won't you?
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it?
That's it. Just be a bit cavalier and just go for it.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Anywhere you want to go, like that you've not been before, or I suppose you've been a lot of places.
Yeah, I have. I've not been to Africa.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I've been to North Africa.
Yeah. Morocco and.
Yeah,
and such.
But I want to do it on the bike. That's what's really causing me some
anguish.
Going back to the work-life balance thing.
Yeah.
You know, I've said to the business, look, I'm going to need a few more holidays. Quite happy to take them without pay, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, but it's how we. You know, don't want to let the business down. The business is very important to me. But equally, I need to balance it with what I want to do. I'm going down to Switzerland. In fact, in a month's time.
Yeah, you said you were riding the bike there, didn't you? Yeah.
I'll be back actually. I'll be back.
Yeah.
And
Be back by then.
yeah. So I'm riding down to Switzerland for a meeting, a couple of meetings.
Yeah. And
riding the bike back up, and but I sit sometimes on Google Maps. Working out the trips, and funnily enough, it's the 30th anniversary of the business this year, and I thought, would it be possible for me to ride the bike to Beijing, where our headquarters is? I thought that would be so.
How many miles is
that? It's just under 5,000.
Oh right, okay.
So it's not bad. It's not
too bad actually. Yeah.
It's not bad. But then, my plan was, I thought, I could get the Trans-Siberian Express back. I could get the bike stuck in a crate.
Yeah, man.
But then
that'd be sick. That'd be crazy.
But it goes to Russia, doesn't it? And the easiest route across to China, where there are less border crossings, is through the southern, you know, the long southern border of Russia. So that's not happening anytime soon. But yeah, it's that.
Would you be happy to do that on your own?
Yeah.
Have you got any other biker friends, or have you not? So you could do it with them, maybe something like that.
I have a ride with a group of guys. Well, they're all from my wife. One guy who my wife knew him years and years ago, and he's a biker, and I ended up getting introduced to that gang, and I ride with them now.
Nice.
And just going back to the house, I think ultimately we probably will sell up and move somewhere nearer to where I think I mentioned it, nearer to where my wife came from.
Yeah.
So funny enough, I was on Rightmove this morning, so
having a look.
I was. So there's one guy I ride with who would be up for doing it, but it's a lot of time away from work. It's a lot of time away from the family. It is. My wife realizes that it's something I need to do. It's something. It's food for me. Doing stuff like that. But I've looked at, I've looked at trips and thought, can't really go through Syria, and obviously Ukraine's an issue at the moment, and you're working out how to go round. But
there's lots you can do though.
Yeah.
You should just set off.
Yeah, so I was planning.
That's the thing to do.
Yeah, I was planning on going down through France into Spain, North Africa, back across, maybe up through Greece, and just making my meandering as one does my way back up. So I was talking to one of the guys about going up to the most northerly point of Norway.
Yeah. Wow.
Riding that, so going over on the ferry here from Hull.
Looks amazing, Norway.
Yeah.
I watched a guy on YouTube who does, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, straight line missions he does.
Oh, right, okay.
And he'll pick a point on a country, he tries to do a country, so he'll count Wales as like his first one that he did. Plots a straight line on Google Maps, and then has to follow it with a GPS. Has to climb over people's gardens and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, he did Norway, because it's quite, it's quite thin, isn't it? So you can go across it quite easily.
Long and thin.
But it looked amazing. Looked like a really crazy landscape to be, part of.
Yes.
Walking around, no one about, just chilling.
Yeah. I've been to Oslo a couple of times, but I've never really explored the country. But what I've seen, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I'd like to go. I've never been to Scandinavia.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, countries I've not been to.
Yeah.
Don't know. There's so many. When you actually, I think I've been to a lot of places.
So you like Australia? You like Australian radio? Did you say?
Yeah, but I love New Zealand.
Yeah.
My wife and I. The thing that's one. Yeah, that's one of the only drawbacks. When all the places I've been to, I've been on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, or sometimes with a colleague, and I often think, I wish my wife was with me to experience this. I say times many to people, go to China. You absolutely have to. Just to experience the culture.
So different.
It is, yeah. It is amazing. I was bowled over by it, and I love the Chinese people. I think that they're amazing. They're so friendly and so hospitable, and it's great. Some of the areas I go into are way off the beaten track, and it never ceases to amaze me when there are small children laughing and pointing.
Yeah.
And look, there's a big nose.
Yeah.
That's what Westerners are called out there. And I've got a very good friend.
I've never heard that.
I've got a friend who he's actually an agent for the business, but because I have so many interactions with him, we've become friends, and he's actually Hong Kongese. He's a Hong Konger, and so it's been very interesting to talk to him about the changes that have happened and how the Chinese influence has come into Hong Kong. But if you look at that's from that perspective. It's not great when if you look into human rights,
the politics of the country,
the politics of
it's pretty
China.
Horrific, isn't it? Some of the stuff that you see.
It is not great, and which creates a bit of a dichotomy for some. I'm working for a Chinese company, ultimately, and some may have a problem with the position of China at the moment. Think, hang on, right? I'm working for a company that's generating profit, that's going into doing that. Whatever that may be.
Whatever those things are. But every country's doing something wrong. So.
Absolutely, and I just think, I enjoy what I do. Personally, I get a lot out of it, and if I were in that position, I'd be cutting off my big nose to spite my face.
Wow, mental. What's it like communicating with like regular folks in China? Like, is it quite hard, or do they speak? What do you do?
Generally, there have been meetings where I've been on a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting or a Chinese platform, and the translation apps are so good now.
Yeah.
That so I can just sit with my phone. Just sit with my phone next to if I'm there as an advisor or technical input or commercial input, and sometimes somebody will crack a joke.
It's that good.
And I laugh.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And it goes silent because they're not realising that I'm actually understanding what they're saying because I'm looking at the app.
It's bringing it all through and it's showing you what they're saying.
Yeah, and a lot of, generally speaking, the language skills of people that I deal with are pretty good.
Yeah.
A lot of Chinese folks speak reasonable English, and but failing that, I was getting a lift to an airport with a guy that ran his company was making yarns, and was making super absorbent yarns. Couldn't speak a word of English, and obviously I do speak a word of Chinese. I can say hello and things like that. Yeah. But we're just doing it on the phone.
Yeah.
Just I'd say something, convert it into Chinese. He'd read it. He'd say something.
Yeah.
Ping it back in English.
We did that we went to Milan recently, and we spoke to a Japanese customer we've got.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing. We were just like typing, change the keyboard to his keyboard, and he'd type his thing in. Yeah. Slow conversation, but
you get there.
You get there in half an hour. You've had the conversation you need to have.
It does. It does. It takes because I work with a lot of people where English isn't their mother tongue.
Yeah.
So I go down a gear.
Yeah, you slow down. Yeah, speak more slowly.
And I'm very conscious of the language that I use. Yeah, I choose my words very carefully.
You are a good talker.
You think?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've realised that doing this that I sort of slur and I skip words, and it's really hard habit to get out of.
Yeah, I think it's. I have to be articulate.
Yeah, for what you do.
In the role.
Because communication is the main part of what you do.
Yeah, communication is key, and
yeah, definitely. 100%.
Reading people as well.
Yeah.
Reading people, and obviously, when I didn't realise how important, when I was looking at international roles, which was an element of my CV that I didn't have, I thought, can't be that difficult. International role, just fly to other companies and countries and just do what you were doing. Yeah, it's so different because what's missing is the cultural elements of doing business all over the world
that you can't understand without being there. Really.
Yeah, you have to see how people, to be able to see how different cultures react. There are certain things you can and can't do in.
You'll do something that's really rude or something. I think the thing with the Japanese fella was, because James, that guy who works for us, James, he's very into Japanese culture. He's got a friend who lives there and stuff. And he said when you get the business card off him, you hold it and you look at it and you study it, both hands, And I had to sort of do that. And then I put it in my pocket after a while, and I realised that it actually not got in my pocket; it had gone on the floor.
Oh.
And I thought that must be really.
Yeah.
He must really not like that.
You probably stood on it for good measure. Probably. Bloody footprint on it. But
I just felt really bad about that. But he's still buying stuff, so it can't have offended him too much.
So do you do a lot of stuff globally then?
Yeah. We've got a few good customers. We've got a good customer in the States that we've been dealing with for the last few years, and it's been a hard fit nut to crack, to be fair, but he's really building it up now.
Yeah, that would be, my ideal role would be something to do with motorcycles now.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because there was a point where my wife actually banned me from talking about motorcycles.
Yeah.
She said, "Paul, you're
obsessed.
You're driving me bonkers."
Have you always been into motorcycles?
Yeah, but I wasn't allowed to. My wife said she went to see a clairvoyant.
Yeah.
So my wife will never get on a motorcycle because the clairvoyant said you'll get killed if you go on one. So she won't go on mine. And to be totally honest, it sort of defeats the object of having one, because riding a motorcycle for me is very meditative. In terms, because riding it, the focus is just riding the bike, and I'm not thinking about anything else.
Focusing on the bike, yeah.
Yeah, so it's great for me. But so I had a spell when I wasn't riding, but it was actually Louise, my wife's friend, that said, "Don't be so miserable. Let him have a bike," and she did.
Yeah.
So
just that little comment from a friend, and that's enough. Yeah.
So I'm back onto the bikes. Yeah.
How many have you had different bikes? Endless.
Yeah, I've had quite a few. I mean, recently, obviously, I'm on the GS at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Had the Triumph Tiger before that. Triumph Speedmaster.
Yeah.
Retro sort of looking bike. Bandit. Had a Suzuki Bandit.
GSF, yeah. Nice.
Yeah. ZZR 1100.
Yeah, is that the Kawasaki sort of sports tourer, I think?
Yeah, I nearly killed myself on that. So that I must admit,
fast bike.
Yeah, I did have a spell off. That thing would do 170.
Yeah.
And I found out, I don't know how this happened, but I didn't do my research well enough on the bike, but it was a Cat something or a Cat D bike.
Yeah.
And that's why I got it cheap.
Yeah.
And I was chasing my mate. It was a better rider than I was.
It's been crashed, basically.
Yeah. And I think the frame was bent. I think the frame was slightly bent because it wouldn't go around corners.
Yeah.
As I expected it to. The back wheel always wanted to go out when I went round a right hand bend, and I just couldn't.
That's mint.
Anyway, so it was round here, dog leg, and I thought, I'm going far too fast. I can't go around that bend as quick as he's done it.
No.
And I thought, I'm sliding off if I do that. So I just went down this track.
Yeah.
And so I thought, right, I'm selling it. It's going. So put it on Auto Trader. Guy from Lancashire calls me. Said, yeah, we sort of agreed a price on the over the phone. He turns up. Bike is sparkling on the drive, and a bit of a camber on the drive falls over.
Really?
Smashed the indicator in the, and so I quickly had to repair it before he turned up. Then,
wow.
2 days later, speeding ticket. The guy had only got nicked riding it home, so I had to write to the police and say I wasn't.
me.
So when you sell a vehicle, always make sure that you date and time stamp it. And
do all the documentation.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I've never ridden my bikes. I've ridden motocross and stuff, but weirdly, I've designed products for bikes, but I don't ride them, which is probably a bit of a missed opportunity, really.
Yeah.
But
you've still got that Tiger.
Yeah. Actually, no, we sold that.
Really?
Sold that. When did you come over? It was a couple of weeks ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We'd sold it like the weekend after you'd come, I think. Just bought the new CB750 Hornet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's loads to do on that. It's ridiculous. There's so many little opportunities for us in bodywork.
Nice.
I like it as well. It's a nice bike. Been riding it around a little bit.
Yeah.
Just in first gear.
So how long will you keep it for before you sell it?
As soon as I finish what I can do for it, really. It all depends on how many projects there are and how long it takes to get the final version.
So I guess it's got. Did you buy them new with no miles on them, or do you?
Yeah, normally. Yeah.
So it's like got a few more miles if someone decides to take it out, and.
Yeah. What we found actually is that if you Adam, my brother, rides them. Sometimes, not all the time. Didn't ride the Tiger really. He's found that if you get the 600 miles done and the service, that it actually sells easier.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to do that bit of it. Because you can't wring its neck, can you, at that point? They want to be able to give it some bastard, I think. So,
yeah.
So we had an MT-09 SP when that came out again, the 21 model, and he rode that quite a lot. Got it to about 1,000 miles, and it sold really quick. The Tiger took ages to sell, and I think. Well, I don't know why, but that could have been part of it.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, my mate that I ride with had a 900 Tiger, bought the 1200 Tiger, sat on my GS, and he went rather green, and he said this Tiger. He said the spokes are rusting on it, the headlamp's loose.
Yeah.
Had a couple of other problems. I said, well, what you've got there, mate, is a bike that it's only just come out.
Yeah. It's all new, isn't it?
My GS they've been playing with that for 40 odd years. If they can't get it right, they're never going to get it right.
They've been playing with that version for 10 years.
Yeah.
That version of it.
Yeah. And I did hear that that some that buy GSs, I can't remember which BMW dealership I was at, but they pay people to run them in.
Really?
Yeah. But
to sort of
if you ever
find out.
If you ever need a bike running in, just
I'll give it to you.
Just let me know.
I
Obviously I won't charge you for it because I like riding bikes, but
definitely.
I'll do it for free.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, 100%. And if you've got something we want to borrow for a bit, and you can swap, can't you? And just ride off on whatever we've got.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. That'd be decent. Yeah. Just taking a little break in the podcast now. We're talking about Paul's bike for a bit. But thanks for listening so far. And if you're enjoying it at all, just leave a like, a rating, or a subscription, or anything like that. Obviously helps me get this podcast out to more people.
Old gas pipework from the lighting going when I was doing the place up. So
yeah, it's cool, isn't it? Interesting to find that stuff.
Oh, love it. Yeah. Because we lived in Willoughby, and we both wanted a Victorian house.
Yeah.
Even though it's Edwardian technically. So
my brother's house is Victorian, and it's very cold, but it's really it's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah,
big high ceilings.
We some months over the winter we spent £500 a month heating this place, and it's just like, I mean, this is the warmest area in the house because it's been built to modern standards.
Yeah. So you hang out in here quite a lot then. Yeah, but just because it's warm.
Oh my god, yeah. We've got Selk bags. Have you seen those sleeping bag suits?
Yeah.
Got those, and I did. Our building at work is really old, and it's cold and it's drafty, and I did threaten to wear my Selk bag to work.
It's funny how all that's sort of come in the last year or so with the energy crisis and stuff.
What a great opportunity, somebody, because in China, because we've got a very nice lady that's come over to work with us who lived in Beijing. And she said, we've had these for years. So, I got fleeced for some of them are like 160, 170 quid.
Yeah. So I've not actually ever had anything like that, but I might try it out.
Yeah, 10 heating off,
Yeah.
So that thing. You think, my God, I'm 30 quid one day.
Yeah, it's mad.
30 quid when it's really cold, and you just think, it's tough for folks at the moment. You look at the rate of inflation. Inflation over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We're up at 10.4% again. Bank of England have put the mortgage rate up again.
It's ridiculous.
The interest rate, so that's going to have a knock-on effect.
Well, they handed out a lot of money, haven't they? So I suppose it's...
Well, I was chatting to someone yesterday about the fairness or not of the furlough scheme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I get it for businesses that were clearly struggling. Don't have a problem with that. But businesses where the furlough money was effectively paid out as a dividend.
Yeah.
Is it right?
Not really. Yeah. Some people just got given money when they didn't need it as well.
But there were some businesses that were, because there was I can't remember what it was called, but government were offering 50 grand. You could take out 50 grand. I think it was some sort of loan on really good terms.
Yeah.
People were taking it and buying electric cars.
Yeah, I know a bloke who said to me, he got 15 grand or something because he's a small business, self-employed. He just spent it on watches. I thought that's just typical of the UK, isn't it?
And you think that there will be a day of a time of reckoning.
Yeah.
And got
to come back down to earth a bit.
Yeah. We've maxed out on the country's credit card.
I don't like borrowing money or anything like that. I'm really like, I'm a tight bastard basically, and I just don't want to. I don't want to owe anyone anything. Like most people are happy with it.
It's freedom, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's we are, Louise and I, will not finance anything.
No,
we'll
buy it.
We'll not finance anything. Because when I got the just going back to bikes, when I got the GS, I bought it. I sold my Tiger. Sold my Tiger for 8.2. Paid 11 for it. Sold it for 8.2. Sold the accessories for 600 quid on eBay because I realised I was only getting offered 200 quid more for the bike.
You are better off taking them off. Yeah.
So I took everything off it. Sold it on eBay. It was a bit of a pain, but I don't mind buying and selling stuff. It's quite good fun.
Yeah, it's good fun. Yeah.
So I did that, and very, very, very nice guy came over from Not Your Average Bikes.
I know them. Yeah.
He's the guy that came over. Absolutely lovely bloke, and he offered me 8.2 for it, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to take that because I got 1,400 quid off the GS.
Yeah.
I thought I can take the hit. It balances, and I thought if I don't get the discount will go, and it has done.
Yeah.
But he was selling that. I can't remember the chap's name, but he was selling it for 10,395. He's dropped it to 9,995.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I hope he gets rid. So I would have been still stuck with that bike. Problem being, to your point, people buy them on finance. Because a mate of mine said to me, what did you? He was asking me about the deal on the GS, and he said, did you finance the balance? And I said, whoa, no, I'm not doing that. You know, my view is if I can't rock up. Well, we don't now rock up with the cash because I don't like it.
Rock up with a sack full of money.
You just people say, where'd you get that from then?
Yeah.
And so
if you can't pay for it there and then,
if you can't do the bank transfer, you can't afford it.
Yeah.
That's my view, because you haven't got the money. You know, it's okay for a house. You know, get that, because a lot of people don't have that sort of money kicking around.
Yeah.
But you know, and we both drive modest cars. Partly as well, because you know, I got pension anxiety a few years ago because the penny dropped. You know, I got to that certain age. I think it was probably as I was late 40s, and I thought, oh my God, I've got to live off a very small percentage of that pot of money. You know, I'm facing poverty, and I thought, shit.
Makes me careful.
So I said to I've got a mate that retired at 49.
Wow.
Really interesting. I think he sort of regrets it a bit, but his wife's got MS. She's poorly, so it sort of worked out well in a way because he spent time with her while she's still okay. Yeah. But then, you know, I tell my kids this. You know, people go out and buy a flash car. You know, they've not paid cash for it. It might be a company car, fair enough, but they're usually on PCPs.
Yeah.
They put a boatload of money into it that they will lose. And I looked at it and thought, hang on, if I get a flash car, first of all, the biggest running cost of that car is depreciation. And I'm thinking, you know, why would I go out and finance something when every now and again I'm looking to see how well my pension's doing. Thinking, you know, the car
yourself coming back.
Yeah, it just end up in scrap. So I drive that, which I almost stole it because he advertised it with a fault. It got a fuel tank fault. The two cylinders in the saddlebag tank had there was an issue with them. Somebody made a right pig's ear of wiring them together, and I offered him. What did I offer him for it? I got it for $9,000.
I wonder how much you've saved in your life by just not doing that kind of stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've not always been like this. So
really,
yeah. Oh yeah, I would just be I've not always been as frugal, careful, and you know, sensible with money as I have. My wife has.
Yeah, she always has been.
Yeah.
Have you sort of learnt that from her, or?
Yeah. She's instilled that in me, because obviously we're a partnership, and
Yeah. She doesn't want you taking the piss.
Yeah. So I'm not allowed to talk about any further bikes.
Yeah, that's it.
No, so mate of mine was talking about an electric bike, fuel
a Zero or something.
I was looking at those on the internet last night. Aren't they amazing?
Pretty cool, aren't they? People say they are good fun, yeah.
But bloody hell, they're expensive.
Yeah, we had some turning up at work, and I've done a couple of accessories for them, but they're rarefied. Right. Cool though, yeah, they look great, don't they?
Yeah.
The third one's really nice, isn't
it? Love it.
Looks good.
Yeah. So Fuel are bringing one out next year.
Yeah.
You can put a $200 deposit down, get a $2,000 discount.
Yeah.
They'll throw in a $1,500 helmet, carbon fibre helmet.
Mm-hmm.
My mate at work he's a biker. He's put a deposit down.
Yeah.
So
Fuel, that's the brand, is it?
Yeah.
I've not heard of that.
No, I hadn't. Because I thought he said Buell.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, where's the electric bikes on this website then?
Yeah. It's all big
it wasn't that. Yeah. So I've said to my kids, don't get a credit card.
Yeah.
Don't get a credit card. So
I've never had one. Yeah.
I said, but you'll need to find some way of building up your credit score.
Buy something on finance or.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a little bit of that, but I've done very little really. I suppose most of my credit score just comes from my mortgage, I suppose. But like, it's it's funny, especially people with my age. Like now, like most of my friends are just like debted up to the eyeballs.
Yeah.
But they don't even see that. They don't seem to see that. Like they don't need the 2022 Toyota, whatever. You know, you just don't need it.
Because it's something ultimately that it's just something to go down to the shops in. Yeah, it's just something to go to work in. And
does the same thing, doesn't it?
I've done it. I've done it, and then I've got to a point where I thought, I've stretched myself for something, and thought, so wish I hadn't done that. And then you're into negative equity. You can't buy yourself out. The asset.
It's enjoyable though. That's the thing, isn't it? I just bought a mountain bike recently that's worth quite a bit. And I don't normally do anything like that. I went mountain biking with a couple of friends and then just loved it. And I was like, right, I'm going to just buy one. And this bloke who we met was like, I've got like 5. And like, this one I don't ride very much. He's like, I'll give you a bit of money for it. He's like, yeah. And I was like, I spent quite a lot on it. And I thought, yeah. But now I'm riding it about and it's just so fun.
Well, that's different.
It is different, yeah.
For me, that's different because I have a very modest lifestyle. Neither of us drink.
Mm-hmm.
I've not drunk alcohol for a lot of years. 14 years, maybe. No.
I was going to bring you some beers today. I only had one in the fridge there, so I thought, no. Yeah.
So, never smoked.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not into stuff like that really. I have a drink sometimes, but I've never smoked. Never liked smoking really.
No, it's just it's horrendous. And being a chemist, being trained as a chemist, why would one take something like that and breathe it in? At BP, I would be working with my hands in a fume cupboard, and then
it's the same stuff.
Yeah, why would I come home and I'll leave work and then inhale that sort of stuff? It's bloody bonkers.
It is really. Yeah.
It's nasty shit. It really is. From a.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
people just don't know about it, do they?
No.
I don't think they consider it. Right?
But these vape things that are kicking around at the moment. I work with a guy, Al Control. I mean, he's called Professor Thompson. He's chair of all sorts, and he said, "You watch out, big health scare coming." These
really?
Vape things from China.
So what's the difference in terms of like?
It's the plastic.
That you're inhaling.
It's the plastic. When they heat up the plastic, plasticizers come out of it.
So you're sucking in plastic polymers, basically.
Crap. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? It takes a long time for all this to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It has to be tested on the population for a number of years before people realise.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So, yeah, not for me. Absolutely not for me. But some could say, hang on, but you've gone and bought that GS. What's all that about then? But that's what I do for fun.
Yeah.
That contributes to my well-being. you know.
Smoking doesn't, does it?
No, it contributes to my mental health.
Yeah.
You know, and there have been times when I've been uber stressed and uber anxious and thought
the bike makes a difference.
Yeah, and you know, particularly when I was younger, and going back to your point about the debt and buying stuff that's unnecessary and people getting themselves completely debted up. The thing is, you lose your options then.
Yeah.
Because you can't just think, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. You know, it's not for me, not doing it. But you can't. Oh shit, I've got all those payments coming out, all those direct debits.
Can't no option. Yeah. That's the thing.
Flexibility is key.
What advice would you have for a young person, sort of, I suppose, age of your kids, 18, finishing school or university or anything like that? What advice would you have for someone of that age?
I think you've got to follow your dreams, follow your heart. Try to step out of this capitalist, materialistic society.
Yeah.
In which we live. You know, it's important to strive for. Obviously, you've got to be healthy. Health is key.
Mm-hmm.
Wealth isn't. You know, just having enough to get by. One of my children, she's at Hull Uni studying psychology. She's just not into material stuff at all. Could care less.
Right.
She gets it. My son is the opposite. You know, he likes material stuff, but he's sensible. You know, he wouldn't go out and
Blitz.
go and get an Audi whatever on some stupid PCP deal.
Yeah.
So and it's about being. I think it's about being, not getting immersed in your environment and being able to not let your ego run your life, and being able to have that self-awareness to recognise what your ego is and how it's making you behave, and sort of having that objectivity where you can sort of step out of yourself.
Yeah, and look at your own actions.
And watch yourself.
Yeah, why you do things.
Yeah, why am I doing this?
Because it takes a while for some people to realise that.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. It took me a long time to do that. And sometimes, you know, even now, I'll think, if I've got a work situation, I think, all right, I'm going to do this, you know, one thing I reflect. I never react immediately to anything, because I like to go away and have a think, and I think it's important to do that and reflect and make the right decision. And times many, I've thought, that's my ego making me want to do that.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
When I step away from that and look at it with different eyes, I have to take a different course of action.
Yeah. How would you like to share the experience you've learned through your work, you know, in your later life? Like, how do you think you're going to use it?
That is a really interesting question, because I think, you know, I do wonder, you know, what would be the value of my insight? You know, is there any value in it? Because I never put it to the test.
Yeah.
You know, I've never. I do enjoy, and there have been a few experiences. You know, a few times when I've met with someone. I remember Louise and I were on holiday once. We got talking to this guy.
Yeah.
And he was having problems with his career, and he said, "I want to do this, want to move on and do that." And he said, "But I haven't got a degree." And I said, "So what?" I said, "So what?" I said, "I've interviewed people for what was when I left Technical Absorbents first time round, I was quite happy to see them, even though they hadn't got a degree. You know, a degree isn't the be all and end all. It's about, you know, that's just a small part. I think Dale Carnegie said that only 15% of your like technical training comes through. Is required in a job. It's about communication. It's about personality. It's about the soft skills.
I think I was thinking. I don't know if I asked you earlier. I can't remember now. But I said one of my things was like how often have you been able to apply your chemistry degree in your everyday work throughout your life? Like what percentage? And do you think it is around 15%?
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Yeah.
It's not a lot. It's more about the interactions. It's the soft skills that are key. Because there are numerous examples of people that academically or technically they're not that great, but they've been uber successful.
Collaborating with people.
And just just
confidence. I suppose maybe.
Yeah.
I got that. I watched an interview with a guy from, I think he was on Dragon's Den for a while. He's a guy who started Moonpig.
Yeah.
And what's his name? Nick Lane, maybe. And it was funny because he kept asking these questions to people about like this guy was asking him the questions who. I think he's on Dragon's Den now, Stephen Bartlett or something.
Oh, I listened to a podcast.
CEO, Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
It was on that. And he asked these questions like, you know, do you ever feel like you lack self-confidence or something like that? Or do you feel this way or that negatively? And he was like, no, like, I'm not really scared of losing my money or things failing. And I don't know how true that is, but it just sort of made me think, yeah, like that's not very common for people to say that like openly. Like, I'm just not bothered, like, if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. I'll try again.
Yeah, I think persistence is key. Yeah, that's
work ethic, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah, and when I was studying, I saw people that are far brighter than me drop out just because they didn't want to put the work in. And I'm not an academic, and it was bloody hard work. And I scraped through. But it was just at that time in the 90s, that was your ticket to ride, if you like, just having that qualification.
Yeah.
But the value of a degree now,
it's getting less and less all the time.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, and
so commonplace.
Yeah, and I interviewed a chemistry graduate who couldn't tell me the formulas of some basic what's chalk,
Yeah.
Don't know.
It's amazing. I've interviewed quite a few people for my role at Pyramid, and it's crazy. They've done a degree or whatever, but it's like you don't even know they have.
Yeah.
Talk to them, it's like, the actual real world skills that you learn from. Like, I haven't got a degree in anything. Did product design at Scene Sixth Form, and it was a piss about. Basically, it was just messing about for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I learned everything at work. I learned everything I know was at work. I'm on the internet and talking to people as well, like going and seeing them.
Yeah. Well, I think there's more value in getting out there and doing it, and that was why I didn't have a lot of choice, to be totally honest. I was in the TA for a while.
Really?
Yeah, and they offered me the opportunity to join up and become an officer and be sponsored to do a degree through the army.
Yeah. And
I thought I was too. For a start, going back to what you said earlier, I'd got debt, I'd got credit cards, and they couldn't afford to do it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. So it wasn't happening. So I didn't have that flexibility. But going back to your original point, I would like to be in a situation where I could help and influence others. I haven't got to that point where I've worked out how I would do it. What would be what would be the forum, the mechanism, how would I.
Maybe you could do more of this.
Yeah.
With other people, bigger names. I'm just starting out, just because of your CV. You sent me your CV. I think a lot of people didn't interview you, just because you've had an interesting background.
Yeah, and I think you know, I've always it's always difficult to assess the value from the, you know, when it's you.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I just think, well, it's me. It's just the stuff that I've done.
I think the best thing to do is not worry about it, because like I've realised that I've always been quite self-conscious about like, whoa, what can I add? So I don't worry about what you can add. Just try.
Yeah.
And then see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I am very much an introvert, and some would beg to differ, but I do find that particularly social situations suck the life out of me. And,
like lots of people.
Yeah. And I have to go for a walk and then come back in. You know, obviously the extrovert feeds off it, and but yeah, completely.
You're happier talking one-on-one?
Yeah, but I do. I remember I went to India and I got this presentation lined up, and some of it was online. The Wi-Fi was crap, and all these people came in. And I just sort of was standing there delivering this. Yeah, I just thought I'm just going to talk about it. You know, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But going back to the Steve Bartlett point, I've sort of got to that point now where I must admit I think it's part of my spiritual evolution.
Yeah.
If you like, and I sort of get my context in the world a bit more. But you know, I'm at the point where I don't really care that much either, if I'm totally honest.
Yeah.
You know, life has become very simple.
Yeah. Not too bothered about striving for anything massive.
Well, I think that could be it. You know, that's a really good point, because I'm stimulated by my role. It gives me the challenges I need. I've got great work-life balance.
Yeah.
Happy. Yeah.
I think you're very good at it though, and I really enjoy talking to you, because it's just been easy, and like I've only done 9 of these now.
Oh right, okay.
But it's not always the same. Some people are really, it's like getting blood from a stone a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And
but I think the important thing is, you know, upon agreeing to do this, what's the point in agreeing to do it if you're just not going to be open and just and share? It's about sharing, isn't it? That's you know, and getting, you know, getting hopefully the useful bits.
Maybe that's what I've got to realise. Yeah, I mean, like, so I've been asking people myself. Some people have asked me as well, but maybe I should be more open to just. I mean, I asked you randomly, but like maybe I should be more open to sort of letting people approach me more, and so they want to do it. Like you just said, you wanted to do it when I said it, didn't you? You were just like,
yeah. I thought, this.
Why not?
yeah, and I think that is it, isn't it? Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Can do attitude sort of thing.
Yeah. Give it a go, and you know, the guy I ride with, I spent a lot of time riding with. He told me that he'd said to himself that if he were offered the opportunity to do something, he'd always say, yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah, so like the Jim Carrey film.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
I love Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Particularly because of what he's had to say. Because he's a very spiritual guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I love that, and I get that, and I relate to that. And
yeah, me too, definitely. Yeah.
And I just thought, you talk a lot of sense, and
it doesn't appear to let any of the sort of fame. It obviously has affected him, but like in his later life now, he seems to be sort of at ease with it and just himself.
Yeah.
Like in recent years.
Yeah. I think it's important just to be, and my mother says, she used to say, she doesn't say it now because I pull her up on it, but she'll say, oh, what's it all about?
What's the meaning of life?
Yeah, what's it all about?
That's my last question.
Really?
I've nicked it from someone else, but yeah. Go on, carry on.
The meaning of life, I would say, firstly, it's just to be.
Yes.
It's just to
exist.
And just, you know, just human existence isn't easy.
No.
I don't think it is meant to be easy.
No.
You have to get the best of what you can and learn as much as you can. But I think it's just about watching the universe unfold.
Learn from it.
Yeah,
and
I think it's just like, we are transient.
Mm-hmm.
We could get into a discussion about the quantum aspect of our existence and time.
Yeah.
Time fascinates me. I said to my daughter Eve, who's 18 next month, I said, you have this concept of linear time, and I said, what would that look like if you had no memory?
You'd be lost completely, wouldn't you? Well,
Yeah.
maybe not, but you'd be, I don't know, sort of an interesting question.
But
you had no recollection of any of your memories, you mean?
Yeah, if because there would just be the now.
Yeah.
There would just be the now, and I think, if people could live more mindfully.
Yeah.
Not in the past, not in the future.
Yeah.
I think they'd be much happier, but
hard to do though. Yeah. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I did a meditation course.
Yeah.
About 8 years ago, probably longer than that now, actually, and I meditate every night. Every night.
Wow.
Yeah. And
how long for?
There's no such thing as a bad meditation.
No such thing as time while you're doing it as well.
Yeah.
You just can't.
I just sometimes, might be 5 minutes. Sometimes it's half an hour, 3/4 of an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But
what are you doing when you're doing it? Or what's going on? Nothing. Yeah.
There's nothing going on.
Are you trying to think about anything, or are you trying not to think about anything?
I've got to the point where what it actually was, and the genesis must have been something much earlier than when I went onto the when I did the course, and it was when I was the MD of the water treatment company. I was mowing the lawn in the sunshine, and I thought, this should be a pleasurable experience. This should be nice. I should just be able to experience just doing this. I couldn't. I had all this chat and crap going on in my head.
Yeah.
What it's done for me is I can turn the voices off.
Wow.
I can just
ignore them.
Yeah. They just. I don't have, the chatter that's going on. That constant dialogue in
criticising yourself and
yeah. You did mention confidence. That just sorry, I forgot to mention, just to go back to that one. My kids often say to me, I'm not feeling confident about this, and they feel that they are in some way inferior or lacking. And I said to them, that's the human condition. I said, everybody, to a greater or lesser extent, feels that that they don't measure up in some sort of that self-doubt. And
I heard this FBI negotiator saying that he said we're 75% negative.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, when I listen to people, particularly at work, and you just think, yeah, you're full of self-doubt, and actually, I see something completely different. I see something really great.
You see potential.
Yeah, and think, you've got. I'm working with someone at the moment, and she has got the potential to be amazing. And we started the journey when I was first with the business. I was away for 2 and a bit years, and now I'm back in the business, and we've created this new way of doing things where we didn't really have a documented strategy as such, and I was bleating on about it. I said, we don't know where we're going, we're just bumming along, everybody's doing this and doing that. I said, I want a strategy. I said, I don't even care if we stick to it.
I want to write something down.
But yeah, we just need to say, this is roughly the roadmap.
Yeah.
But this has given her a vehicle to really embrace and on which to flourish. And it's just brilliant. It's just brilliant, because that's I want people, not from an egotistical point of view, but just at a human or soul level. When I'm not doing this and I've gone to do whatever people say, that was great. I picked up something. I learned something. I'm doing what I'm doing or capable of doing now because of the interaction that they had with me. And I think that's where the real, that really is where I do see my value in allowing people to be able to shortcut things. Some things you just have to go through. You have to experience the pain, because with pain you get the change. It's like, for example, I've just bought that motorbike. My son is saving up for a deposit for a house. He probably looks at that bike and thinks, why doesn't my dad just give me the money? What favours would that do him? You have to go through that. It creates the concept of value.
My mum and dad gave me and my brother money to buy a house when we first. My mum was moving to France, and I guess she just felt guilty about it. And I've recently given it back to her, and that felt really good.
Yeah.
Because I've made some money and I'm all right.
Yeah.
And I think as long as you sort of even with yourself and with those around you, I think it's not all bad, but I think it's been. I realise it's been playing in my mind that I haven't amassed this myself.
Yeah.
So I just had to give it back.
Yeah.
And it's like.
That's amazing. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. I often find as well that when I talk to people, I say to them, is there something in your consciousness that's bugging you at this something you should do, something you feel you need, you should, not a major thing, it might be something small, it might be something you've got to do at work, it might be something you need to do in your personal life, something at home. That's in your consciousness for a reason, and it's there niggling at you for a reason. Just go and do it.
Yeah, your brain knows what's happening, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Listen to it.
There's, we think we are pretty evolved as a race, and I think we're pretty arrogant as human beings. There's so much we don't know.
We've made the world quite complicated as well. And we haven't changed
me.
physiologically at all.
We're
just sort of we're the same thing we were 10,000, 20,000.
It's shocking. You look at the length of the time that the planet's been in existence, and you look at how long we've been on it, and we talk about the Industrial Revolution, and we sort of talk about this pseudo revolution that we're going through at the moment, and you just think, hang on. You look at what's going on in Yemen, you look at what's going on in Ukraine, and you just think,
not going anywhere.
We're going backwards.
Yeah, it's still happening.
How can this be allowed to happen? I'm embarrassed to be a human being sometimes, to be associated with what's going on. It's horrific. We've got people living on the streets. I was reading something yesterday about this poor guy who's living in a tent. You've got people who can't afford. Do I heat my home? Do I cook my food?
Yeah.
But there's so much wealth. Yeah. There's so much wealth sitting around doing nothing. And then going back to China, you look at the different political systems. You look at communism and but you've still got capitalism mixed in with communism in China, and you just think,
topsy-turvy, isn't it?
What's going on? What's going on? It's absolutely bonkers. It's crazy. It really is crazy. No wonder we've not got aliens landing.
They don't want anything to do with us, do they?
You just think,
we're like, I remember listening to something once, and I reckon they see us as like, right, they're still working it out,
Yeah.
They're in the interim stage between where we are and where they were.
Because if they can get here, when you consider how big the universe is, well, we can't. It's just we just can't get our heads around that. It's just too massive. But you think, wow, if they've got here, it'd be like us looking at an ant's nest in the garden. Just thinking, Yeah.
Can't say anything to them. Can't really associate with those guys.
Just don't get that.
Don't even know how to.
Yeah. Don't get that. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
So that's yeah. Wasn't a very succinct answer, that, was it?
Doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be. I like it when it's tangent upon a tangent. I like that.
Yeah, I think it would be just going back to business and the way people interact. For me, I'd like to see a lot more emotional intelligence in businesses.
Yeah.
Because there are some, if there was an element of emotional intelligence injected into businesses, they'd run a lot better.
And they're missing this personal touch.
Yeah, in terms of people understanding, having that self-awareness, understanding how they impact others. And I think, because, if you've ever been in the workplace and there's a negative character, someone who's just doesn't fit, it causes mayhem.
It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, it causes mayhem, and they really do put the put the brakes
on everyone else.
Yeah. And bringing things like mindfulness into the workplace, and we're not ready for it.
Yeah.
I think generally speaking that business isn't ready for it. If I had my own business, I would make it
part of it.
That way. Yeah.
A core value.
Yeah, there was my wife and I in one of the businesses that I worked. There was talk of a management buyout, and cause I did try to buy the water treatment company, but it was too risky. If I'd lost the biggest customer, the cash flow would have been appalling, and I wouldn't have been able to service the debt.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, that's so not happening. But my wife and I have both said, particularly when you look at some of the businesses, like in Grimsby, where there are people working in SMEs that are not getting paid a lot of money. I couldn't be that guy that was, I was telling you about, where they were taking too much money out of business.
Yeah.
It's...
Well, that's just wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's important to get that balance right. When I told my wife how much some of the people were earning in some of the business, she cried. She said it's wrong.
Unjust, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It's very wrong. But
well, you just got to hope that people out there's people, more and more people who realise that as they start to earn loads of money.
Yeah.
If they kind of, use it for the good.
Yeah.
Which is not easy to do, I suppose.
It's not.
It's not natural, is it?
No.
I don't think.
It's more complicated than it sounds as well, because you just don't want to start giving money to people that are basically
willy-nilly
taking the piss.
Yeah.
They've got to contribute and be on board, it's
thanks for getting involved in this. And
no, you're very welcome.
I didn't expect you to say. Well, I don't know what I thought you'd say, really. When I spoke to you, I thought this guy will say yes. Surely. Yeah. Just the way you were,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit of a random situation, but yeah, it's cool.
Well, one could say, was this just meant to happen anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it random, or was it meant to happen?
I don't know. I mean, I was like, the thing is, there's been multiple people who I've met over the years at Pyramid, working with them on bikes and stuff. And I think now, and I've got their numbers and stuff, so I've got lots of people to go and talk to. But I think that was a bit of a missed opportunity. They were pretty interesting. And so maybe it all happened at the right time, like you say.
Yeah. And
I've been thinking about doing this for a long time, and I haven't even realised recently.
It's great. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. Well, I mean, I should have never met you, because I only came in because I'd happened to have taken a day off. There was a bit of a mix-up with when I thought the screen. I thought you had stock and you hadn't got stock. I don't know what happened, but anyway.
They usually sell black ones to people. That's the reason. Most people buy light smoke.
So I thought somebody did say to me, actually, one of the guys I ride with, say, "Can you see through that?" And I said, "No, not at all." but it looks good.
It does look cool. Yeah.
So it looks brilliant, and I really am pleased with it. I think it's the dogs, but so
it's kind of happenstance that you turned up, kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah. It was because I thought, you know what, the screen was really important to me, because it makes such a difference. Because I don't know the generally speaking, Fed BMWs that I've ridden, the fairings are rubbish for a guy that's 6 foot.
Yeah.
And I looked at. I don't know whether you've done much work with the K1600.
No, not really. I know the bike, but
yeah. I mean, I don't know how many they so that's what I nearly bought. But I took one of those out from a dealership in Rotherham straight onto the motorway. My helmet was getting blasted.
Yeah.
First thing I need to do to this is buy a new screen.
Yeah. It's always it's the most popular product in our.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it makes up like. I think it's like 20% of our sales. It's just screens.
Yeah, they're great.
Of some sort, and the only reason I came down to speak to you is because you had a GS.
Right.
And because, like I say, I wanted to do that product for it. So it's
Do you need anything from the bike while you?
No, I think we're going to borrow one. I need to take it to bits and all sorts to find out how it goes together. And do you know what I mean? It's an involved project, that one.
Yeah,
so can't really do it right now.
Yeah, well, I've just put one of those sound bomb horns on it.
Yeah.
I used my horn the other day. Yeah, I just thought
that's sound like a loser.
It. So but I fitted the horn to it, but fitting stuff onto it is not easy.
No, there's a skill to it. Yeah. And every product is. This is the thing that's interesting. Every product is different, and you have to have fitted one a couple of times to actually know how to do it.
Yeah.
Which is hard to. That's why the instructions are really important and really hard to get right.
Yeah. Fitting that Lone Rider headlight guard to it was an absolute pig. I started it, and after an hour and a half, just couldn't work out how to actually get my hand in to get the bolt in to fit the two brackets.
It's on a computer, you see. That's why.
Went onto YouTube, thought it's actually brute force. What you actually need to do is just pull the fairing back
away. Yeah.
And
there's a lot of that going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was being very delicate with the bike and just thought, right, that's the way they've done it.
The same on the Tiger 1200, the headlight guard I've made for that. You have to do a bit of. It feels wrong though to write any instructions. Like you're gonna have to kind of like pull this apart a bit and mess with it.
Yeah.
Like my dad's never been scared of like writing that in the instructions, like silly stuff. Like you need to like one of his best ones is the mudguard extensions that you can get that we do. He says you take the mudguard off. Yeah. If you want to stick fit it, not rivet fit it, you can use our pads. And the best thing to do is use a bag of sugar to keep them together.
Yeah.
When they're bonded. And it sounds silly, but it's literally the best way to do it.
It's the practical stuff, It's I found particularly with that bike, I just get onto YouTube and just say how somebody must have done it.
I bet it's quite a lot of info on that bike on the internet.
There's loads.
So, it's not like a Mandello V100 or something really specialised, is it? It's a popular model.
Yeah, I mean they're all over the place, aren't they? And for good reason.
For a reason, yeah.
For a reason. They're so refined.
Yeah.
So refined.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks very much.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, we'll pause it there. I think we did about 2 hours there. Thanks for listening to that episode. Jem is here with me. What do you think of my podcast, Jem? Was it stupid or...?
Stupid.
Yeah?
No.
You like it or is it fucking silly?
It's good. I like listening to them.
Yeah?
I'm interested in people and their stories, so you're kind of doing the work for me and then I get to listen to it.
Oh, nice one. Yeah, thank you for listening, everyone, and see you again next time.